Okay, we are going to solve the problem of the carts bouncing off of each other and then one rolling off of a ramp. When we see that they're bouncing off of each other, we see a collision, we see momentum. We want to conserve our momentum during the collision as long as it's not happening on the ramp or on some frictionful surface, as long as there are no outside forces acting on the carts. And so this one we want to, of course, start by drawing a before and after picture of the two carts so that we can set up our math. We're going to see that cart 1 starts off moving and cart 2 starts off at rest. And then cart 1 bounces back in the opposite direction of cart 2. And so now it is moving back at a speed of 2 meters per second, and we're trying to find what V2 is. It starts off at 3 meters per second. Momentum is a vector. We have to be careful with our signs. We're going to call the direction of the right positive, and we're going to put the direction of the left as negative. So this velocity is actually negative 2 meters per second. Now we will go ahead and set up this problem where we can say that the momentum of object 1 and object 2 added together before the collision still has to be present between the two of them added together after the collision. This is because the momentum of the system is staying conserved. So they're each separate to begin with and separate to end up with. We keep them separate in our equations. And when we're plugging in that the mass is 2 kilograms and the velocity was 3, the mass is 4 kilograms, the velocity is 0. Now the mass is 2 kilograms and the velocity is negative 2, plus the mass of 4 kilograms. Let's find what its velocity is going to be. We can say 6 plus 0 is equal to negative 4 plus 4v2. And when we add the 4 over, we get 10 equals 4v2, or that v2 equals 2.5 meters per second. Positive because the cart is moving to the right. Now we know that cart 2 is moving with 2.5 meters per second to the right when it encounters a frictionless hill. We want to find the distance the car goes up the hill before it stops. Stops means that the final velocity is equal to 0. In order to do this problem, we've stepped it out for you a little. Find the acceleration of the cart while it's on the ramp. And so for part B, when we're on this ramp here, we want to draw the cart while it's on the ramp because we need to see what forces are acting on it while it's on the ramp. When we're trying to solve for the acceleration, drawing a force diagram is never a bad idea. Draw a force diagram because when we're solving for acceleration, acceleration is caused by a net force acting on a mass. So we've got this cart 2, it's on our ramp, and so the forces that are acting on cart 2 would be the force of gravity pulling it down to the center of the earth and the normal force perpendicular to the surface. Now, of course, they've given us this angle right here, the angle of the ramp, and we need to decide, okay, which way do I need to break up my forces? I see here that I can break up either my normal force or my force of gravity, but this cart is moving up the ramp and it's actually slowing down, which means it's accelerating down the ramp. And so looking at the direction I'm accelerating, I want forces that are parallel to that acceleration and perpendicular to that acceleration. That helps me know that this is the axis that I would like to be looking at right here, where things are parallel to my motion and perpendicular to my motion. Turns out I'm going to be breaking up my force of gravity into components here. So starting at the center of the mass of the box and going away from the normal force, This is where I draw my force of gravity in the y direction. And then parallel to the surface, I'm going to draw my force of gravity in the x direction. And these two will form a nice right angle. And then when I'm looking at this, I need to also realize that this angle that was given to me of the ramp is this angle up top, right there between FG and FGY. So as I look back to try to solve this problem, I'm looking for my net force. And I know I need a net force in the direction that I'm accelerating. It's causing my acceleration. I'm not accelerating in the new y direction, which means my normal force and my FGY will balance each other out. It's going to be my FGX that's pointed down the ramp parallel to my motion here that's causing the acceleration. I'm going to say that the net force is caused by my FGX. And when I'm solving for my FGX, I'm going to use some right triangle trig, but I also need to solve for my force of gravity here. I'm going to know my force of gravity as the hypotenuse, and I'm going to be solving for this opposite side of FGX in my right triangle. So what I can do here is I can say that the sine of theta is equal to my opposite, which is FGX, over my hypotenuse, which is FG. And so it turns out that my FGX will be solved for by doing FG times the sine of theta. And so when I'm trying to solve for FG, I know that FG is equal to mg. And so FGX is really equal to mg times the sine of theta. All right, so I did all that so that I could figure out my net force. And now what I really want to do is find my acceleration. My acceleration is my net force divided by my mass. So because acceleration is equal to net force divided by my mass, I can take my net force of FGX and I can divide it by my mass. All right, so we were trying to solve for our acceleration, and we knew that it was our net force divided by our mass. So we're taking our FGX and dividing it by our mass. So FGX we solve for as mg sine of theta, and then we're dividing that by our mass, m. So it turns out that our acceleration is really just equal to g sine theta while we're on this frictionless hill. And I think the angle of the hill was 30 degrees, which is convenient because the sine of 30 degrees is 0.5. So this is going to be 10 times the sine of 30 degrees, which is really equal to 5 meters per second squared. Now that's the magnitude of my acceleration. I have to decide on signs now. I'm going to call up the ramp the positive direction, and so up the ramp will be positive and down the ramp will be negative. And because I'm accelerating down the ramp, opposite in the direction of my velocity, I'm accelerating down the ramp in the direction of my FGX, I'm going to throw a negative sign on that acceleration just to indicate that the acceleration was happening down the ramp. Now it asks me to find the distance that it takes to stop. So for part C, when I'm solving for a stopping distance, this is going to be my kinematics equations. This is going to be my guess method. And so I'm going to be looking for my 3 given variables, my 1 unknown variable. I'm going to find what equation I need in order to substitute my numbers in and then solve with units. All right, so for my 3 given variables, I am going to use, let's see, well, I know the starting velocity of block 2. I solved for that right here, that the cart was going 2.5 meters per second when it encountered the ramp. And then I just solved for my acceleration. And so I'm going to call 2.5 meters per second positive because the cart was going up the ramp in this positive direction at 2.5 meters per second. But the acceleration is down the ramp, so I'm going to call that negative 5 meters per second squared. And I want to solve for the distance that the car goes before it stops. So again, it's that stopping word that lets me know that my final velocity is 0. So this is going to be that equation without time, v squared equals v starting squared plus 2a delta x. And I can plug in 0 squared equals 2.5 squared plus 2 times negative 5 times delta x. And so when I do 2.5 squared, and I get 6.25, I'm going to subtract that over, negative 10 delta x. So when I divide that by negative 10, I should get 0.625 meters. That's a positive 0.625 meters, which means it goes that far up the ramp.